Welcome to the Paradigm Shift episode 109. We got a very special treat today, a guest that I'm very fond of. We're waiting for Big Dave, my partner in crime. Oh, there he is, the articulate alligator, the sex goose, to hop on right now. And then we're going to bring on the dynamic and handsome Coach Micheal Burt. Let's get this party started. But first, everybody drop your current state in the chat from 1 to 10. You dig? How handsome is this cat going to look right now? Hi, Uncle Dave.
What's going on? We got Coach Burt in the house today. Is that what I hear?
That's what you hear.
That's awesome. I guess who's going to come join us? We got to invite him to come on Paradigm Shift. He says he's going to come watch Glenn Lundy, my other boy, who's built a big brand for himself, and he is pouring into communities like you. And I got some star students, as you know, that are fitting into my some guys. Oh, I'm so hungover. That's awesome. Anyway, yeah, you know, I'm on that mission to empower 1,000 people, to empower 1,000, to empower 1,000, to empower over 1 billion. And it's so nice to know that people like Craig Siegel and Glenn Lundy are in the house doing just that. So anyway, what do you got for me today before we bring Coach Burt on?
Can I ask you a personal question?
Of course you can.
Who's your favorite student?
My favorite student, it depends on which day, but today you are.
That's not what you told me on our last call. You said
that was that day. You were my favorite student that day because I was so proud of you for what you were doing. So we absolutely are blessed, though. So thanks.
Yeah, hell yeah, love you, and I love Coach Micheal Burt, his content specifically. I'm excited to share them with the audience. But a quick nugget, as we always do to get started. I was checking out your content this week, as everybody should, you know, all the time, every single day. And one thing that you were talking about, and I thought this was really cool, for anyone that's building a personal brand right now, which should be everybody to some capacity, you talked about marketing and how it's not an expense, it's an investment. And I think that's a really cool paradigm shift. Tell us what you mean, Big Dave.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, first of all, education is an investment. Your community is an investment. Your brand builds both education and community, and therefore it's an investment in those as well. And so when we can shift the paradigm from a scarce paradigm of, hey, I don't want to spend money on that because it's an expense, it doesn't provide me anything, and understand timing and risk tolerance, and get alignment of an investment that everyone should be making, as you stated, in their community. They should be making an investment in their education. Then we can understand, as we know what happens through the great behaviors that aggregate, accelerate, and compound upon themselves, that when we make an investment in good behavior, in a trajectory of what we think we want, then we therefore will have this outcome that is exponential. We create more productivity, accessibility, and gratitude in our lives. We help more people make more money and have more fun. And I think too many people take a scarce perspective. I had one of my clients yesterday, literally, you know, shift in the middle of a conversation, and he just said, you know what, I'm being scarce. You know, I'm looking like at this thing as an expense. Let me just look at it as an investment. And when we look at things as an investment, now we can put it into investment terms. What's the return on investment? And so I think it's really important, if you see branding and you're like me in a mission to build a community of people who want to help each other, that know people who can help each other, and to educate, to expand, right? Life's about lessons. The lessons keep on coming till we learn them. There's no better investment than you can make in your personal brand if it's directed towards community and education.
That's it. And a word that comes to mind when it comes
to Lundy, there he is.
Yeah,
I told you.
You manifested that, baby. A word that comes to mind, Dave, that you taught me is compounding. Because even now, like I'm seeing, like I have so much. There's not even enough times to post how much content I have. But it started 2 years ago, and it just keeps piling up and piling up. And then obviously every time we show up, we get more people in the community, in the audience, and they share it, so to speak. So compounding.
Yeah. acceleration, and compounding and aggregation are the three characteristics of energy. Energy is created by behavior. So if you have the correct behavior and a trajectory of where you think you want to be, by giving meaning to the defining moments, lessons, void shortages, obstacles, successes, whatever it be, even relative historical events, we can absolutely create a bigger and better result all the time.
But what I want to know is, how many tubular turkey sandwiches did you consume today?
Oh my goodness. You get me early in the morning. So I've only had a couple of those unbelievable turkey sandwiches. But you must have been eating a beautiful bagel because you look beautiful.
Thank you, Biggie. We're bringing on Coach Burt right now. There he is.
Look at
What's
him.
up, Coach?
He got all dressed up for us, man. What's up, Coach B?
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks
Great
for
to
joining
see
us,
you.
Coach. Where are you
Yeah.
calling in from? Where are you right now?
Actually, my home office outside of Nashville, Tennessee. So glad to be here with you. Been spending time with the kids. We've got a 8-month-old and a 2.5-year-old and a 10-year-old. So I've been playing this morning. We've been playing around the house.
You're such a stud. I'm so excited. A lot of our audience is already familiar with you. We just had you on the podcast and so forth. So let's just dive right into it. One of the cool things that you talk about on the show is what a coach does and what it doesn't do. And I love the way you described it. And I'm a big believer, and I had to learn this later on, put my ego aside, that everybody should have a mentor or a coach in some capacity, and also a mentee. But what is the biggest benefit, in your opinion, of someone having a coach?
I think a good coach will help you find and fill your missing structures. You know, I say you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. You have too much assumption, bias, prejudgment. And so a good coach comes along and they help you find a missing structure and they help you fill a missing structure. And they're not afraid to have conversations with you that you may or may not want to have, push you to do some things you may or may not want to do, but typically help you become something you couldn't get to on your own. That's really what a good coach does. And I come from an athletic background, as you know, as a women's basketball coach. And so I brought structure, I brought mindset, I brought strategy. Now as a business and performance coach, I kind of bring the same thing. I bring structure, strategy, mindset, new ideas. And sometimes people just need a fresh perspective and an old way of doing things.
Yeah, I agree. What are you grinning at, you giddy goose?
So funny is if you define people, for example, as giddy gooches or coaches, there's three components, and Coach Burt encompasses all three of these, whether it be from his previous athletic coaching prowess or into today, into the performance and business world. But there's three components, and not every coach needs to do all three. But I think it's important for people to distinguish what they're looking for. Number one, I agree with Coach B. The coaches bring the best out of you. And that's how I define coaching. Mentorship is someone who sits in a situation that you want to be in and gives people directions to how to get to where they are. So not everybody can be a mentor because they actually have to have achieved it. So if you look at like Tiger Woods, he doesn't have a mentor because no one's been where he's been before, but he has a great coach that brings the best out of Tiger Woods. And that coach isn't better at golf than Tiger Woods. And Coach B is not a better coach than the basketball players that he coached before. He wasn't better than them in basketball. He was a great mentor and a coach. So he was giving them directions on where he can be, and two, bringing the best out. And then the hardest for me, I have the blessing of being a mentor because I've paid a lot of dummy tax. So I don't want people to do that. I know how to bring the best out of people like Coach B and Craig, but teaching's the hardest to me.
Yeah.
And teaching's the third component. Can you actually explain what the heck you know to meet people where they're at so that they understand where you are? I'll give you an example, Coach. You know, my business partner, Warren Moon, Hall of Fame quarterback, I always would ask him, man, why aren't you a quarterback coach? Right? Why aren't you an offensive coordinator? He said, Dave, I'm not a good teacher.
Yep.
He said, I'm a great mentor. I can tell people what I did to get to where I am. He said, I'm a fairly good coach. I can bring the best out of young kids like Cam Newton and Andrew Luck and people that he did work with. He goes, I just can't teach what I did to throw the ball where I threw it. I can't explain it, but I can mentor and coach. So I think it's important for all three. And not everybody can be all three, like Tiger Woods coach. But when you're picking and choosing what you want, make sure you have a weighted balance of, do I need a teacher? Do I need a mentor, or do I need a coach, or which combination thereof?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much perfectly said. Coach, you gonna say something?
Well, I was going to say, I agree. I define coaching as engaging people in a set of systematic behaviors that allows them to do something tomorrow that they can't today. And I've had great coaches and I've had great mentors, right? And I was thinking about a young gentleman we're coaching now that that we just started coaching, they're starting the restaurant American Federal Grill. He went to the great Johnny Carrabba, the founder of Carrabba's Restaurant, who's a friend, and he was getting mentorship from Johnny Carrabba, but Johnny Carrabba said, you really need coaching from Coach Burt. You know, so I can mentor you, but you really need coaching from this guy to help you get from A to B. And so I think that's a great distinction between what a coach does and what a mentor does.
Yeah, bang. This is so good. So many places we can take this conversation. Coach, one thing that you talk about, and I know this is going to hit home for Dave because he loves to talk about this, is recommitting every single day. Even when you have a ton of momentum, it's like, don't get too, don't fly too high and obviously never fly too low, but recommitting each and every single day. Why is that so important for you personally?
Well, when I wrote the new book, Flip the Switch, I really deconstructed the top 20 motivational theories. I codified those theories. And basically, they all say the same thing. We move toward things we want. What happens when we have everything we want is we actually lose our motivation, right? And so if you don't tell yourself it all goes to zero at midnight, if you don't tell yourself that it's going to be a fight, but we're going to find a way to win, if you don't set new targets, then your drive is actually suppressed. And you become satisfied, or what we would call in America complacent. We gradually settle to kind of a place of mediocrity. So I'm a big proponent of reactivating that drive every single day, because the natural inclination is to start with good intention, fail to follow through, and then experience guilt or get to some plateau and just get comfortable and get complacent. It's why it's hard to win back-to-back championships. It's why you just see people have inconsistencies in their life. So I try to teach people strategies to reactivate that drive, even if you've been doing something for 30 years. Like, how do you go into battle every day? And King David was a great king in the Bible until he decided not to go into battle and become distracted. And that's when his life really went in the wrong direction. So I'm a big believer in reactivating that drive every day, going into battle every day, and trying to just get better every day.
This is awesome, right, Dave?
Oh, well, at its core, right? My definition of happiness is to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your, not anyone else's, not what's missing, not what you don't have, your potential. And I think they even have some biochemical analysis and studies about what people feel when they're pursuing versus achievement. And, when we look at that, it's amazing the difference of how people feel when they achieve something compared to how and what they feel when they're pursuing something. And that's why my day starts with, what is it that I want in the trajectory of what I think I want, giving the meaning to the lessons of my setbacks, failures, mistakes, void shortages, obstacles, successes. The historical relevances is another one, the news, whatever it is. What meaning am I giving to the infinite past to allow me to pursue my infinite future? But it doesn't happen unless you know what you want, because you can't pursue nothing. You have to get from nothingness to a possibility to get to a probability to share your perspective, which creates inspiration. And Coach Burt's one of the best in the world at helping people decipher in a pragmatic way, which, when I read Coach B's stuff, what I love about it is I'm this duality. I started the world in a scarce, competitive trade a world of complete, lawyer, business guy, all money, all scarce. And so I want to apply the good stuff that I learned there to this more infinite perspective that I have today, a more energetic, behavior-based perspective of understanding abundance of more than enough. So I just want to also thank you, Coach Burt. I know we've done a lot of stuff years ago as well, but it set me on a path to I gobble up your stuff, man, and I try to apply it to my own life. And you've been a coach from afar, as I know you have coaches from afar as well.
Absolutely. Well, your unique past is, uniquely prepared you for what you do today. So I think that that is so powerful for people to understand that I'm really paying you for your past. Your
I
past helps
love
me.
that.
Yeah, your past helps me to build my future. And all the things you went through, which was fascinating, really sets you up to help people the way you help people today, which is really, really powerful. And I made a note there when you were talking. When I was studying this concept of prey drive in humans, it's prevalent in an animal. An animal has an instinct to pursue. And I'm basically saying that human has that. But I missed something when I first did the research, is that there's no greater external motivator for a person than the mere pursuit of what they're pursuing. It's not capturing, right? It's like the night I won a championship after 10 years of pursuing it. Then it's like, okay, all right, we did it. Now, what do we do next? But it was the joy, the pursuit, the excitement, the enthusiasm, like to me, that's what reactivates the drive every day. And when you give up on the goals and you don't have a clear B, then man, you lose that drive many times.
This is unbelievable. I love this bromance right now. I'm paying you for your past. So good. I was really excited to ask this one. People often ask me, like, what my superpower is, and one thing that comes to mind is I'm bold. And I have this mentality, like a closed mouth doesn't get fed, as Dave knows. And you two are some of the boldest cats I know. And Coach Burt, I actually named our podcast episode Remarkable Boldness because that's something you love to talk about. What exactly do you mean by being bold? And why should everybody listening today consider being more bold?
When you look at the habits of the top 1% of performers, I'm not saying 1% of money earners, I'm saying 1% of performers. There's 1% of police officers, 1% of teachers, 1% of firefighters. When you look at the top habits of those performers, right at the very top is remarkable boldness, which means striking fearlessness, right? Then they have deep intrinsic motivation, what's called because goals. They have great connection skills. They have ability to lock in and see something through to its conclusion. And they also have a lot of grit and resilience. But someone asked me one day in one of my courses, if I could give my daughter just one of those, which one would I give her? And I said, it's just hard to do anything big in the world without remarkable boldness. And for a lot of people, it's just the willingness to remove a fear of rejection. It's the willingness to get out and do what you do every day, which is get out there and use your unique skills and talents to help people. I mean, remarkable boldness is just striking fearlessness at the end of the day. And all top people have a form of this if you just study them.
What about you, you bold bat, Dave?
Yeah, well, I'm going to obviously align with that, but I use a different word for, and I would, 20 years ago, if someone would tell you that Dave Meltzer would tell you that remarkable boldness equals blank, and the word that's going to come out of my mouth, most of the people that knew me when I was running Lee Steinberg Sports Entertainment, the sports agency, living in the scarce world with the biggest names in the world, but it's faith, right? Remarkable boldness is faith. I know that I'm connected to and through an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source, infinite, abundant, unified system of thought. And my job is to figure out, I already know what I am, right? I am remarkably bold. I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. It's my job to figure out what I'm doing to interfere with it. And fear is what I'm doing to interfere with it. Fear of the past, fear of the future, anxiety, worry of the future, and regret and guilt of the past. And if I can quickly only spend minutes and moments in fear, I can live most of my existence, most of my 24 hours of activity in productivity, accessibility, and gratitude in a form of grace only because of one word, faith.
Yeah.
I have faith there's something bigger than me that loves me more than my mom.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm always protected and promoted, which allows me to be my best and allows me to make mistakes and allows me to forgive. All the things that I do is based off of one word, in which people 20 years ago would say Dave Meltzer would never say that. Yes, I am saying it. You got to have faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coach, how can somebody practice being more bold?
Well, I think when you look at what keeps a person from being bold is some type of fear, which fear is perceived as a negative emotion of something that could harm me in the future. So, but it's installed very early in life, right? I mean, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of failure. There's even fear of says. And so what they have to do is they have to remove. There's a series that Jimmy Evans, a great pastor that I studied, did called I Changed My Mind. And it's I changed my mind about fear, insecurity, doubt, worry, all these emotions that we have, human emotions that we have, right? And he said he changed his mind about those things. And he gave a definition to everything. And I think a person can change their mind about this. And once they have a lot of conviction, so think of this cycle. I've had a big revelation, sudden dramatic moment. Because of the revelation, I got a deep conviction. Because of the deep conviction, I'm willing to take a lot of action. Okay. And because that conviction overrides the fear. And once you change your mind about rejection, the truth about rejection is some people will like you, some people won't like you. So what? Right? I mean, just because the person doesn't want what you have doesn't mean that other people will not want what you have. So I changed my mind through a terrible breakup I had at 25 years old. Thought I was going to get married, bought an engagement ring. It fell apart. I was deeply depressed, clinically depressed for 6 months. I lost every bit of my confidence, and then came back and wrote a book on confidence because I lost all of my confidence. And during that period, a person said to me, the way you see this is all wrong. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, there's no such thing as rejection here. Just because they don't want what you have doesn't mean somebody else won't what you have. And that changed my mind about rejection forever. That was a very powerful thing that happened to me. So I really created a breakthrough as a result of a breakdown.
Yeah. Well, similar experiences in my life of losing everything and almost losing my life because I was lost. And more importantly, I think I also took a revelation in the fact that there was ego-based consciousness that was tied to fear. So I separate fear as fear of the past, fear of the future, knowing and notating how can I identify it sooner and then utilize it by prescribing the ego-based consciousness. See, we naturally have a need, a physical need. And so it's a need to be right, a need to be offended, a need to be separate, a need to be inferior, a need to be superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful. All of these needs of the ego that I prescribe to fear allow me then to process it. And the biggest revelation that I had, Craig and Coach, is that when I learned that I couldn't resist it, that I couldn't fight it, I couldn't go over it, under it, through it, around it, I couldn't lie to it, cheat it, manipulate it, or deny it, which is one of the biggest capacities that people do. Instead, when I stopped and tried nothing and just breathed and said to myself, I'm going to remind to the greater mind, recollect to the infinite, and remember with everyone in this system, this unified, abundant system of thought. When I remind, remember, and recollect instead of lie to, cheat to, manipulate, oversell, back end sell, deny, when I remind, remember, and recollect what I am, now I can roll in the trajectory that I want to be in. And I want to notate one thing that Coach B said that I learned through social media. And I also learned this in speaking. And Craig, I taught you this lesson, your first speech. And Craig's turned into a world-class speaker, but he wasn't when I took him to his first speech.
Yep.
But yet, even though he wasn't the world-class speaker he is today, 10% of the people love you no matter what. And it can fool you because you think that everybody else loves you, but it's because of your frequency. But what you don't realize is 10% of the people, when you are a world-class speaker, Craig, 10% of the people hate you no matter what. So it's my mission. Like, I know I always got 10% that's going to love me, 10% is going to hate me, but I want to be consistent and persistent in the pursuit of the 80% to try to help empower them to bring out the best of themselves. Because I know, as Coach does as well, the common denominator of all spirits of excellence, of the best performers, is they have a desire that they must be what they can be. And if you don't have that desire, you can't be remarkably bold, you can't have faith. You need to have a desire that you must be what you can be.
Yeah. I mean, this is just the best way anyone could start this Saturday. I love this. Dave, should I land the plane? I have a good one for Coach B.
Yeah, he can answer anything. So every question you ask is a good one.
One thing Coach B talks about a lot, and I love this for any business owner out there, or really anyone in any line of work, is that the fortune is always in the follow-up. Tell us what you mean, Coach.
Well, I wrote a book many years ago called $1 Million Follow-Up because I observed how people followed up with me. And, if Newton's law says an object at rest stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force, or objects in motion stay in motion unless acted on by an outside force. The truth is, the follow-up is a big part of everything. And I've since expanded the concept. It's not just follow-up on, in those days, it was a lead. Today, it's follow-up on a partnership. It's follow-up on a dream. It's follow up on an idea. It's follow up on a collaboration. And in today's world where people are so distracted with so much information, if you don't follow up and stay in a flow and frequency with people, then life just happens. And so a lot of good things are never happen because you had an idea that you didn't follow up on. You had a concept you didn't follow up on. You had a dream you didn't follow up on. There's a partnership that you didn't follow up on. And so I still talk about that a lot because I think people just don't follow up like they should today on all of these things. And if they're reminded of how much opportunity is missed because of this, then it's like, man, I do need to get better at that. So there's two problems. One, they don't go the distance. And number two, the way they follow up, the methodology they use. The purpose of the follow-up many times is to help a person make a decision. And the word decide means to kill something off, or decision means to cut something away. So I'm following up with you, Craig, to help you make a decision so we can move forward with each other. Because we lose momentum, we don't move forward, right? And so to help you commit to something that maybe you just have fear. So I say find the fear and give them a courage. Encourage them versus discourage them.
Dave, how good is this?
Yeah, well, 80% is the follow-up. 80% is the follow-up because 80% is managing and developing a vision. 80% is intention, not attention. Too many people think that attention gets it done, focusing in on one thing. It's what you do, say, think, believe, and feel that creates intention, that creates the 80% of managing and developing a vision. It doesn't occur unless we follow up. And I promise you, one thing won't happen. It's impossible to grow unless you move. If you stay still, you will not grow or change. Change is growth. And if we're growing in the right trajectory towards what we think we want, by utilizing the 80% of that follow-up, which is a great concept that people can take beyond just sales,
Yep.
Whether it be in the prospecting stage or the closing stage. I actually think the most valuable in the business process of follow-up is following up the people that you already sold.
Yep.
Because that's the least expensive way to build your community and build your brand.
Yep.
And build your own business is around the people you already sold by managing and develop their expectations, following up with them even more than following up people, new clients. And so many people are in misdirection and misconception because they're fear-based, thinking that there's not enough. So since they think there's not enough, they have to go get more of new clients instead of taking care of the clients that they have. And we see this with the biggest companies to startups all the time. Coach B, I can't think of a better way to start off my Saturday. And I wish you were my coach on the field, because I think I would have been even a lot better at what I did if I had you as a coach when I was on the field. But I'm glad I have you as a coach off the field, because I certainly have more capability of making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. And I want to thank Craig Siegel always for bringing the best to the paradigm shift. That's why I show up for 100 and how many times, Craig?
This is 109.
That's more than 2 years. That's awesome.
That's
all right,
awesome.
man. We'll be here 50 years from now. Remember, when we look at my hair and Coach B's hair and Craig's hair, just remember this: grass does not grow on a busy street.
Yeah.
So I'm on my way, Coach B. I'm getting there.
Coach, real quick, your new book is out right now. What's the name of it so everyone can go snatch it?
Yeah, the new book's called Flip the Switch, Activate the Drive to Achieve a Freakish Level of Success. It's really 30 years of my coaching into the best book I've written on the science of how to activate your drive every day. So get out and get that anywhere you can. Thank you guys for having me. You both are incredible human beings.
Love you, Coach.
Coach.
And speaking of freaks, Dave is a freak. So there's that.
I am.
Love you guys. Thank you.
10% of the freaks love me. Take care, everyone.
Have a great weekend, guys.
All right.
Love it. Phenomenal conversation. Episode 109 in the books. Guys, we've been doing a lot with Coach B as of late, and I'm a huge fan. His content is phenomenal. He's got great life experience, and the way he articulates things is extremely valuable and helpful. My suggestion, grab his book, follow him along, and just be in his orbit. Great people. Love him so much. Thank you for joining us today, Coach. Big Dave, love you. My co-pilot, my freakish partner in crime. Love you so much. 109 episodes in a row. No weeks off. We'll be back for episode 110, you dig? And our book, our first book, The Reinvention Formula, August 15th, may or may not be available for pre-order on Amazon, Barnes Nobles, anywhere you buy books right now. Love you guys. Let's have a great weekend.